Hey, I wanted to pop on here and do another live video for you guys. This time is focused on COVID. So there's some things that I have found recently that I found very interesting related to the COVID pandemic. And from an applied kinesiologist standpoint, which is what I am, it's a person who uses muscle testing to find out really what's going on in the body. So recently I've had some more connections with people who have had COVID, or most of the ones that I've had connections with recently have had a light symptoms, or people who have COVID-like symptoms but did not test positive for COVID. And anyway, my hair, oh good grief. I wanted to share with you what I have kind of figured out and some things that I feel like that people really need to pay attention to. So let me start. First, I want to say I'm not a doctor, and these are my opinions and my beliefs, and that, I'm not telling you how to cure anything, and I'm not trying to help diagnose anything, okay? These are my opinions. These are things that I have discovered and things that I find that are, pretty important. And I really want you guys to share this video because I feel like those people who have these lingering effects would very much benefit from what I'm getting ready to tell you. Also, for those of you who want to protect yourself, and maybe if you get the pandemic, then you won't have the same side effects as other people. Okay, so here's what I have found, some interesting things. First of all, I feel like there may be two different strains, and I believe that's already been said out there that there's probably two different strains that are out there. So I do feel like there's probably two different actual kinds of this SARS-CoV, whatever you want to call it, type thing. And that's maybe why some people don't have the severe side effects and others do. Now, my other take on why some people have either more severe reactions and this pneumonia thing, and because pneumonia is definitely linked to COVID, so a lot of these severe cases have more respiratory issues and pneumonias. Now, some people have these long-term issues, and some people have things that have nothing to do. You don't think that it has anything to do with COVID. You think you recovered and, all is good, but they have linked some cardiovascular things and strokes, and there's some other things that they have linked to this. Now, these are my findings that I have just started putting two and two together, okay? So one thing that I realized is that with this COVID, the people I have tested, they have recovered, but there is some inflammatory side effects, long-term things. And I have picked up that these are cardiovascular in nature. So I can I pinpoint parts in the inflammatory process, and I can clear those from a biochemistry standpoint and an emotional standpoint and all that. And what I found is that these people that I have been testing it has targeted their pulmonary system, like the pulmonary artery, the arteries of the heart, the aorta, the carotid. So it's all been the circulatory system. So I found that very interesting because if you have inflammation in your carotids, you're going to be more at risk for a stroke. Okay, if you have obviously increased inflammation of your heart, increased risk for a heart attack. If you have inflammation of your pulmonary artery, you may have more trouble breathing, more shortness of air type issues, and that's going to happen with your heart too. But I found that very interesting that the long-term effects of COVID is some inflammatory things. Now, what I do for people is clear underlying inflammatory things. And so for the people I have worked with, I have cleared those things. So hopefully that puts them at less risk for these other things. Now, why some people, so let's say for instance, if you already have clogged arteries and then you get COVID, you get over COVID, but then you end up having a heart attack 3-6 months later, it maybe perhaps, this is all speculation on my part, perhaps you already had plaque in your arteries, and then you have this inflammation, which is going to close in these arteries more, which puts you at risk for a heart attack, okay? So I have found that with COVID people, they tend to have more residual inflammation, and it tends to be in the circulatory system. So that's one thing. There are ways you can probably work on protecting yourself from that, with something that's going to decrease inflammation. There's lots of natural things for that. Essential oils have a lot of anti-inflammatory benefits. Like I use the Healy, and then there's your infrared. That is very anti-inflammatory. So there's some natural things that you could do. I also clear those things. So that would be like something that you would have to have a set. I'm so popular. Another thing would be, okay, sorry, I got distracted. So long-term, the inflammation of the circulatory system. The other thing that I find this very, very interesting, and this is really cool because I'm really putting two and two together. Months ago, I woke up from a dream. It was a dream about a person who had COVID, but what in my dream is the reason they were having problems was from mold or fungus. Okay. When I woke up from that dream, I automatically thought, people who are having the most problems with COVID already have this fungal overgrowth in their body. Pretty common for people to have yeast overgrowth or some kind of mold, 100% mold or some kind of overgrowth, okay? So those people maybe already have this, and so then therefore when they get COVID, it's causing them more problems. Now, recently I have found, and was not even thinking about that in the past, okay? Recently I have found that with COVID people, they will have these long-term effects that doing treatment is not working. Antibiotics aren't working. Okay, so the treatment for COVID currently is some form of antibiotic usually and some kind of steroid, and then there may be some other options too, but it's usually steroids for sure. Well, steroids change, your body's immune system, lowers it usually actually, and therefore especially fungus and molds and all of that, it's going to blow up, okay? So you already have that. You got treated. It took care of the COVID, but you have long-term effects, or you're not, or maybe it's not taking care of all the symptoms and you're having a lot of shortness of air. Perhaps it is not bacteria or viral. Perhaps it is yeast mold. Okay, I'm not getting yeast. I feel like it's mold. That is the problem, or some kind of fungus, okay? Now, I do everything, I treat everything naturally. For myself, we have used certain products, essential oils especially, to take care of fungus mold. And it's always taken care of it. So I'm going to tell you what I would recommend. And I'm actually going to offer for people who aren't Young Living, because I really feel like this is very important. And I know in my community right now, this has gotten out of control, this COVID thing. And I know a lot of people who are just not recovering. They're just not getting better. And then my belief is because there's a mold issue. And so all of these drugs that they're taking is not going to work because it's a mold issue. So the way that I deal with mold for me and my family, and for other people, my clients as well, what their body typically suggests is essential oils. So what I have found is an essential oil called Raven. It's a blend of essential oils from Young Living. I'm a very big proponent, and when it comes to muscle testing, it has proven that essential oils are not created equal. So you have to get certain ones. You buy it from someone else if you want to, but whatever. Many of my followers have their own accounts, so I highly suggest you get Raven and an oil. It's a new oil called Ecuadorian oregano. It is a multi-purpose oil used in Ecuador for multiple things. I have found this oil and Raven are key for this pandemic to help your body to recover. Okay. So if you don't have an account and you want me, I'm going to place an order. So I'm going to put this out there for people, and I want as many as I can do without it telling me it's out of stock or I can't do it anymore. I'm going to order Ecuadorian oregano and Raven. Now, Raven is what I use to help support the body for mold. And it's also for respiratory support. And Ecuadorian oregano is what I use to support the body's immune system. And it's really important for this thing that we're going through right now. So that's a couple of things that I have picked up on. Also, you can get quinine. I know lots of people have heard of hydroxychloroquine, Plaquenil. That was the original treatment, and I do believe that's still an effective treatment. Quinine is actually the plant that drug came from. You can get quinine, an organic quinine. I get it, Secrets of the Tribe, I think that's what it's called, on Amazon. We had this on hand, okay? So we recently got all the symptoms of COVID. My husband, well, I did. I got the symptoms of COVID, but I tested negative, okay? And and they were very mild. I was exposed, and then I decided to muscle test. I all of a sudden needed zinc, which I like Pure Encapsulation zinc. I'm sure there's some other good zincs out there, but Pure Encapsulations is a good one, zinc 30. So we had that on hand. We had quinine on hand, Ecuadorian oregano, and Raven. And all of a sudden, I needed 12 drops of Ecuadorian oregano. Okay, that's crazy. Like, that's not normal. That's a lot of oil for anybody. That was like I was exposed on Wednesday. That was on a Friday when I found out I was exposed, and all of a sudden I needed these large doses. So I started just giving myself that. I needed like 5 droppers of quinine. I had not needed any. Same way with zinc. I needed like several, I think 5 things of zinc. So it was a bunch. So I started doing a lot of that. And then my husband did the same, obviously, because he was closest to me. And actually, it was really strange because the rest of my family, we had not even been near each other. So we didn't have to worry about them so much, even though we did go ahead and do things prophylactically for them. Saturday, I had some mild extra sinus drainage, which is unusual. I had some headaches over the week, but it was really very, very mild. All the symptoms I had were like extremely mild, but I did have them. There was something different. And then now I've got this little hacky cough. And when I muscle test it, I'm getting mold, which totally fits. And it's not mold in the environment. I'm getting something totally different. So that fits the things that I've already picked up on. So anyway, this is very important, I think, for people. And I know some of you are going to believe everything I say, and you're going to go to your Young Living account and you're going to buy it. Some of you are going to be like, this woman's crazy, and I don't know. I don't care what you think. We are living in a time where you need to do something. And you either need to protect yourself, or you need to send this video link and tag somebody who's been affected by this, and it might be like, well, what the heck? Why won't I just try it? Because you can get the quinine and the zinc even at Amazon. Now, the Ecuadorian oregano and the Raven are specifically Young Living. Like I said, I'd be glad to order it for you. You can PayPal me money, and then I'll order it for you, and then we can do pickup. Or I can show you how to get your own account so you can just send it to your house, that kind of thing. So I'll put a link in that too. But anyway, I wanted to just tell you guys the importance of some of the findings that I have found, and just, why not try it out? So anyway, I've been wanting to put this out there, and today I found even more information. So I've really been wanting to put this out there. So there you go. There's my findings so far on COVID, and I'm hoping to find more, especially with the loss of the senses, and how to help people get that back. And I'll post a video if I have more insight on that.